First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes. If everybody's had a chance to look those over, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Kissling,
I'll second it.
second by Bounds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same for the approval of claims. If you had a chance to look those over, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Weir,
I'll second it.
second by McFerrin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I've got a very short list of things tonight, and one of those is just the fact, just to kind of report on the street sounds, that we could basically have almost all the things together now. We're still waiting for 2 boxes to come in. We have received a check from Destination Huntingburg for $10,000. We also received a check from Downtown Merchants for $2,500, as well as they're going to take the next 5 years of paying for the streaming service for the downtown music. So we're setting in pretty good shape right now. So hopefully once we get all the boxes and all the parts, we let John do his thing and get Rob to do his thing and get it all set up, and we'll be ready to go. So that's a positive thing. The next thing I just want to make a mention of is the fact that the National Day of Prayer is coming up May the 5th. And so I'm putting together a proclamation to basically state the fact that we urge all citizens to pray on that particular day. So that'll be going out into social media as well as the newspaper and things of that kind. So with that, that's all I have. So April, you're on the agenda first.
All right. I just need to have approved this evening. I'm requesting to have approval to apply for the following Section 5311 Assistant Grant for calendar year 2023. Our operating grant and our capital grant to replace a 2012 wheelchair accessible low floor minivan. I had her send you guys the operating grant. What they had sent to me was for federal allocation from NDOT, we're expected to get $139,316. From state, we're estimated to get $24,721, and the total came out to $164,037. Then we're supposed to also get in CARES allocation estimated $9,863. NDOT will notify us between August and October if there are any changes to these figures. The capital grant is for the vehicle that Jackie had actually requested that before and applied for to get us a new vehicle to replace the 2012 because of the transmission. And at that time, the vehicle was estimated to cost $47,000. And you can see that it has gone up to $61,000 since then. Wow. So 30–40% increase for vehicles, but they weren't available. The last 2 years, they've had no vehicles available at all. So in order for us to get one, that's the cost. And then our share would be the 20%, which is the $12,323. And we do, if you look at the note at the bottom here, our local share would be paid from the funds the city deposited into an account to purchase a new transit vehicle. $16,946 was received from insurance after our 2010-14 passenger vehicle was totaled in an accident. So we have that amount to cover our 20%. So it won't cost the city anything. We'll take it out of that fund that we have.
Great, good.
So, and then I wanted to make you aware, I wasn't sure if I should or not. I talked to my project manager about this because I received this email later after they told us how much we were going to be receiving. I got another email that said that we may be getting may be able to get additional funds, but we had to justify what we were going to spend it on, okay? So they give us some options down here, you know, ideas of what to spend it on, and I talked to our project manager about it, and I put an increase in for 2023 for fuel cost, a considerable amount. I like doubled that amount, and I talked to him about that. He said, that is very common that everybody everybody has to do that right now because of the cost of fuel. So that was something that he said, you can do that if you want, but he said, I really don't feel like that's necessary. That is gonna be covered. So, with that said, I asked him about a possible increase for our part-time drivers. As you all know, we've had a really hard time filling those positions. Dawn and I appreciated her so much. We basically, between the two of us, we ran the department by ourselves for like 2 or 3 months there. And it's been quite a challenge. And they help us out downstairs with dispatching. I appreciate that so much. But it has been extremely hard to find drivers. We discussed a little bit last year whenever I came to the budget hearing with Jackie about how much we pay our drivers. So I have increased it some, a considerable amount. I start them out at like $14.50 an hour. And I talked to him about the possibility of bumping them up to like $15.50, like additional dollar an hour for each driver. But I know that I talked to the mayor about this. It has to be approved through the council before that can happen. But what I did was I did the figures for that, and it came out to like $5,568 if I would do that for 4 drivers at 29 hours a week. That's how many hours I'm allowed to work them. And it came out to 55. Well, you guys would have to agree to match that. So that's what I put in. I requested for that. I'm not sure if we'll get it or not, but if we do, I would have to have, your support as well. So I wanted to make you aware. That's why I shared the email with you, the additional email about the possibility of more funding coming. And I would like to be able to use that for our drivers. The justification was, I've had such a hard time finding people that I do have 3 drivers now, part-time, that I've hired in March. And I think that if we could pay them a little bit more, maybe they'll stay around a little bit longer. And I wouldn't have such a turnover. And also, it would attract new people as well if we were paying more, so.
Hey, Rob, bring up another thing too, we discussed as far as making another full-time driver rather than a part-time driver, because those positions seem to be what people are looking for, not
Right.
part-time. That seems to be a problem, trying to find somebody that wants to only work 29 hours.
Yeah.
So everybody's having problems like that type of thing. So we did discuss the fact that whether it would be worth looking into maybe getting another full-time driver. Is that, remember what we talked about?
Right.
Okay, just
Right.
making sure I
Oh,
remember
of
that.
course. Yes.
So would that wipe out 2 part-timers then, if you get a full-time person, or how would
It
that
would
work?
just, I'll tell you what, everybody helps out with dispatching. And whenever I moved up into Jackie's position, it was agreed upon hiring Dawn full-time or someone full-time, we interviewed for that.
Okay.
So instead of my administrative assistant position being filled, she stepped into full-time driving, which she does, like a great job at that. But now that I'm getting some more part-time, the mayor told me I can put her doing whatever I want her to do. I'm her supervisor. Whatever I tell her to do, she can do. I have been training her to dispatch and do some of my promotional stuff, which she worked here whenever I was the administrative assistant. She knows what I did. And everybody's sharing in the dispatching duties. I mean, the new people are learning that position as well. My concern would be, and I've talked to the mayor about this as well, possibly filling that administrative assistant position again, just because training someone for the future, like, I'm not gonna be around forever. It would be nice, but
Sure.
training someone for the future, I have already started, like you said, I can train her, teach her whatever I want. I've already started training her on, like, we just finished doing a quarterly report. Any chance I get to pull her in and teach her and show her some of what I'm doing, I feel like it's beneficial. We don't want something to happen to me and nobody to know how to do it. I just feel like it's important.
I have a couple of comments, or I guess they're more comments than questions, but to drive our transit vans, it requires the same operator's license to drive a school bus?
No,
Does not?
no. To drive a school bus, you have to have a Class B CDL.
Okay, so you don't have to have, but you have to have a public passenger endorsement, or what do you have to have?
It is a for-hire endorsement. It's a test that you have to take. It's about 10 questions you have to pass, and it's for someone to be able to drive a vehicle that carries, is it 16 passengers or less.
Okay,
And then the other thing that I've had issues with hiring people, you know, you have to be physically fit. And I mean, you have to pass that physical, and it's not always easy.
is it the same as a CDL physical?
Yes, it is.
Well, I think it's tougher. It's tougher than a CDL. I got it, I know.
It's not easy. In fact, I've hired people and sent them to the physical,
And not,
and then they can't pass it, you know, and I know Right Solutions dealing with the exact same thing.
yeah, we're in the same boat where I work, and I'm very familiar with trying to hire people and drivers. We found that, actually, we're paying our part-time people, some positions, I'm paying them higher because there are no benefits, and we can add to their wages, you know, and they can make, what you're proposing, they could make 17 or something like that, or $18 an hour, because we have nothing else invested in them as far as
Sure.
things like that, which makes that part-time attractive for a wage perspective, and then some of the full-time, when you get the benefits, it actually sometimes is a lower, you know, rate, you know. So it's just something to think about. I don't know, it's very hard to attract anybody to work part-time, anything right now. There's just
I
not
know.
enough humans in the county.
And I really appreciate, like Margie retired last year in May, and today she came in for me and washed every one of the vehicles. And we hadn't had time, you know, hadn't been done since last fall probably, and I mean, yeah.
Dawn did that on Saturdays.
Yeah, sure. If I could, I'd probably drive me crazy.
So when will you know if you get this extra money?
It looks like a couple weeks, and, you know, my grant's due May 15th. And by the email that I got this afternoon, it looks like what's gonna happen is, I've been working on that budget for a while now, in between running out and driving and coming back into
Right.
dispatching and,
Right.
you know, so I've been working on that budget. And I pretty much got it ready, and I just have to have this done, you know, you have to go through certain steps, and then upload everything. But then today's email said, if the money is awarded, we're gonna have to go in and do a budget revision. So it's gonna change my budget. But we'll get it done.
I think you guys do a great service for the community. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
I do too, I appreciate you.
Yep.
I'm glad we have a system.
Oh, thank you so much.
We've used it, my family's used it many times, so.
Yeah. I had a lady today that I picked up at the stork place. They had their Bible study today, and she came out, the group came out, and it was, I can't think of her name. Mary Boner, but then the Belinda Cook's mother-in-law,
Nelson,
I'm sorry?
is it Nelson?
Yeah, the Nelson, Barb Nelson.
Barb.
She looked at me and she said, "We prayed for you guys today."
Wow.
And with the transit system, and I said, well, there's no better place to be than in somebody's thoughts and prayers. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciated that.
So basically, April, what you do is you need the council to approve the transit to apply for this operating capital grant is what you're asking us
Yes.
to do. To make a long story
And I went in a
short.
lot deeper. I
So-
appreciate your time.
I make a motion to let her approve to apply for this grant.
Motion made by Kissling,
And
I'll second it.
second by McFerrin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Go get it.
Absolutely.
Mr. Rudipeller.
These are my rushers, there's no cars on the line. Like 7 cars over there yesterday. They said they can't get no vehicles.
Or on the gas side. Another 6 new services in this month. There's There's 3 at Jacob Homes out here, 2 within the city, a couple over in the Ireland area in the new subdivision. We got 10 on file. We did use up our last diaphragm meter today. Now all we got left is the smart meters. So we're gonna start installing them. The crews extended a gas main from First Avenue and West First down and over the hill and past Judy Oyner's old, or the residence she used to live in. Down the hill where there's a regulator station, that regulator station tied into the 4-inch high pressure main, come outbound with a 2-inch plastic low pressure so we could feed the area residents in that area. That regulator station's getting old, built in '92. We're gonna have to pretty well completely update it, replace the moonies in it, the valves, and all the piping. It's similar to the one that was over at Bush Care Nursery that was involved in that accident, and that ended up costing us redoing that like $25,000. So if we could run a plastic main from town out to that where that regulator station is, tie into that 2-inch plastic into the existing 2-inch, that way we could eliminate that regulator station. So we got that done last week. Got it tied in, got the regulator station shut off, so now we got to go in, dig down to the 4-inch steel main, cut it off, cap it, and then we can eliminate that regulator station. So that was we did that in 2 phases. First phase was, we think, behind your house, Tim. A couple months ago, we tied into the 2-inch area. We went down Sycamore to First Avenue and then up to West First, about 800 feet. We did that a couple months ago, and then we took off another 800 feet from that point down to the regulator station. So we did to get that all complete at the cost of approximately $5,000. So we spent the $5,000, so we didn't have to spend the $25,000 to redo the regulator station.
It's not bad.
Is the regulator station only there for the area residents?
Yeah.
That's its only purpose?
Yeah, come out low pressure so we could feed the area residents around that lake and then on the other side.
So
I think back when Souders and Oyner built.
Do we own that property or we lease that property? What's it, where the station is? Or is that an easement?
That's the easement, in the right of way. Yeah, there's an easement because there's a water main, I think, runs right behind it.
Okay.
Gas line. So we got that all done, tied in. We just got to eliminate it. We had 2 gas crew chief and our compliance manager, Kim Howe. They went to a gas conference last week. Found out there's a new regulation coming out from the federal government on regulator stations. We're going to have to spend roughly $3,000 or $4,000 a station to get them updated. We got to put a vent stack on or put a SCADA system on each regulator station. So we have 28 regulator stations. So if we put the vent stack on there, that's going to be about $4,000 to $5,000 a station. And then we got to have a device on there. What that vent stack does, if one of the moonies, the regulators go bad, it'll start venting the gas out. So they said if you do that, you've got to monitor every day. You got to drive by to see, you got to have a device on there letting you know that it's venting gas. So then we've got to calculate how much gas we lost, fill out a report, save it for the auditors when they come in. Or we put a SCADA system on it, so to speak. It's a smart point. It registers by the hour, high pressure, the low pressure. If it goes outside them parameters, it will send the alarm to our dashboard or to our gas crews if we put a monitor on the phones, so it will let them know there's a problem.
What's the cost of that per station?
Right now, we checked like $1,500 a station, but then there's a software we gotta buy.
Oh, great.
They didn't give us a time frame yet because they just come out with the regulation. So the federal gives the regulation to the state, the IURC, then they can change a few words in it or something, and they can come down and say, you gotta have a plan on when you're gonna get these all changed out. And they said, you can't just say, in 10 years, we'll have it all done. You gotta have a short plan, maybe 3 years, so we can say, hey, we're gonna do 6 each year for 5 years or what have you, just so we have a plan that we can give to the IURC when they do audits. But they haven't come out with that exact ruling yet, so it's coming.
Okay.
So the SCADA system is going to be a less expensive way to handle that than the
Right.
STAT, correct? Is that what you're trying to, okay.
Right.
Yep. But what they set up there, they were saying, well, you, like a flag or something, if you're releasing gas, there's a flag come up, that way, individual comes down the road and they see that flag up, they know there's gas being vented. But one of the gentlemen up there said, well, how's that customer know what that flag means? So they won't have to send out, try to educate. So it's just gonna be a lot easier to put our it's called a smart point.
Yeah.
They put the little SCADA system on each regulator station.
Great.
So at least we eliminated one, you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Then, right now we got 2 subdivisions going. We got the Brookstone 7 over in the Harlan area going. We got 6 houses under roof right now. So we're gonna finish extending some gas mains, 1,900 feet. We've got it surrounded because we've got gas all around it, so now we just gotta run it down the cul-de-sacs. So that'll be coming up. Then we gotta start working on we'll be working soon behind the gas light. We're getting some elevation readings, so we know exactly how deep to put our gas main when installed. And we kind of talked with the wastewater department about replacing the sewer main from Geiger. So we got together today, we come up with a plan on how we're going to do that.
Just so you know that what he's referring to is where that alley intersects there behind Mama T's. From there out to Geiger Street, the sewer pipe is shot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like.
Now's the time.
Now's the time to do it.
Exactly.
That's what we're referring to as far as that part of it's concerned.
The west half of the
The
block.
west half, yes. So rather than trying to pave or something like that without fixing that, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you gotta
Behind
do,
Old School Cafe.
you gotta put your infrastructure in.
Right.
Went out and located that gas line today, and the gas line's pretty well right on top of the old sewer line. It's steel.
It's probably not very deep though, is it?
It's been in probably 70 years ago, so
Who knows?
from past experience, it's probably not too deep.
Same scenario as we had on 4th Street.
Yeah.
Will we clean that whole driveway or that whole alleyway when we're done, or
I'll
is
say
it just?
that's what I'm trying to
Is
do.
that a good idea?
Yeah.
Or another
So what
pavement, lay it on the ground.
I got together with the gas crew chief. So we're gonna extend the steel main on 5th Street from Geiger to the Methodist Church alley. We're gonna tie our steel in there so we can take off down that alley with the plastic main. So it's gonna be a lot easier to work around when they replace that sewer. So we may have to go in first before the sewer's installed. So
Is every building a customer?
Pardon?
Is every building a customer there, or
There's 6 services,
do some of them on it? Okay.
and they're all steel, so if we go in with our plastic,
Have to redo all.
it's gonna be, because they dig this, it's gonna be fairly deep. That plastic's gonna be a lot easier to support if they expose it than the steel.
Yeah.
The steel's probably 70, 80 years old, so,
A lot of things.
yeah. So we plan on digging along the edge of the road on 5th Street from Geiger to go over the Methodist Church parking lot, or the alleyway there, to tie our steel in there, so we still have cathodic protection on the rest of the steel mains. So
Where's that? Is that gas line in the east lane, west lane, down the middle,
On where?
5th?
Oh, that's right. We're gonna,
I mean, on Geiger, I mean. Are you gonna come down the alley? I must have misunderstood you.
we're gonna tie it in at the intersection of Geiger and 5th Street.
Oh, and then right where the alleys start.
Then we're gonna go down, head east down Fifth Street to the alley.
Okay.
We don't have no main there at all right now, so we're just running steel down and tie it in. And it runs down the Methodist parking lot alley. So I'll have a picture when it gets a little closer. I'll have a diagram of it.
What else, do you have any other update information on that project behind the gas light?
As soon as we get elevations, I talked to Cash Wagner. They're gonna give us elevations. If they're gonna have to take some more stone out or add some, we just wanna make sure when we put our plastic main in that we're deep enough if they gotta dig some out. So he's gonna get that for us. Once we do that, it shouldn't take too long to get it in.
Yeah. Are there storm drains under there also
Yeah.
that, so that everybody's
That's already been.
gutters and downspouts are gonna?
Yeah, it's been all new wastewater, all new storm sewer.
Yep.
So we just wanna make sure we're deep enough.
Any projection as to when there might be pavement there?
That would be,
Well, it started out in first part of spring and then run into a few little glitches, and now we're hoping by May or June, I'm
Fall
hoping.
Festival. Good.
But yeah, that's typical, right?
Yeah.
That's fine, but yeah, but you keep uncovering things that need,
Well, you gotta
Better.
take care of when you find them, obviously,
Right, exactly.
unfortunately, so. But I'd rather do it right than to mess it up and just have to go back and redo it again like they do 231,
yeah.
so.
Is there a consideration to put gas main under sidewalk?
underwear.
Under the sidewalk instead of street? Are you going down the street, Fifth Street?
We're gonna go between the gutter pan, and go out 2 feet on the pavement. So we just got saw cut 2 feet, and then you got the gutter pan,
Yeah.
take it out, because there's no sidewalks on the other side of the road. So we're gonna stay in that
Yeah.
2-foot area next to the gutter pan. It's 240 feet.
Yeah, it's about 2/3 of the block, right?
Uh,
About 2/3 of a block, isn't it?
Yeah, half blocks, something like that. Any questions on the gas?
When they mandate these changes, do they ever provide grants or means of,
Be honest with,
They just tell you to do it, you gotta pay for it.
yeah,
known as unfunded mandate?
we'll make the rules, you
You figure out how to pay for
Figure
it.
it out.
Live with it, yeah. Kinda like it, Todd.
exactly.
Anything else on the gas? The electric side, put another 5 services in. And we removed 5 trees on West First, close to that regulator station, where we gotta move our electric poles back to make room for the relocate for the new street construction. We got with the property owners, met them there, went over what we were gonna do, get their permission. They gave us permission to take them all the way down. So we got 1 pole set, we're gonna be setting the other pole. We wanna get that all done before they start. And they rebuilt a single-phase line on County Road 200, just north of the airport. Took 5 poles and new lines, some old poles and old copper lines, so we decided to go ahead and rebuild that. And they did some maintenance on some equipment and ran fiber and conduit for our new electric SCADA system in our building. We had to run it from the crew room down to the server, down the main office. So we run, they brought the fiber up, we run the conduit, we pulled the fiber in for the contractors that are putting the SCADA system in. Dan Austin Clack, our newest electric apprentice, he's went off this week, starting year 2 of his 4-year apprenticeship. So he's doing very good. So he's on, starting year 2.
Very
Any
good.
questions on the electric?
Yeah, how many more, much you have left on County Road 200 before you have that project all finished up? Or?
Probably 10, 12 poles.
Okay.
But there's a few poles in town we're gonna be replacing. Like I said, we got, West First, we had to replace some poles.
How many services in the Hunter's Crossing do you think you have done? I mean, finished, how many more is left, do you think you have to do before you finish
We
that?
talked to, well, actually I talked to Jago, manager out there. Hunter's Crossing Phase 3, they got about 5 lots to sell yet. And we talked to him about Phase 4. He said by July they want to have the road constructed in Phase 4. So once the curb is poured, we're gonna get in there and lay our gas and electric.
There you go, okay.
He said they're just waiting on, water hydrants for Phase 4. Like I said, the water department's ordering them all, so.
I wish. We were told 6 to 8 months today.
Really?
So that's what he said, they're waiting on the water hydrants before they do 4. But they're really,
Speaking of waiting, speaking of waiting, are we still waiting on a truck?
waiting on a
Are
truck.
we waiting on any trucks? Or-
I got a crew chief truck coming maybe next week. It's ordered in March of last year.
I was wondering, because she said they didn't get any for 2 years. It reminded me, didn't we order one about a year ago for you? Somebody?
It's in March, it's a
I
regular pickup truck.
think the fire department's got one coming too or something.
Yeah.
Do we need to order one for next year or something?
For 5
Doing this?
for 5 years
Do you
in
need
the
it?
future.
We got one ordered. We ordered one
I
out
say you
there.
have one too coming, don't you?
Yeah, we ordered it in October, I believe, last year, and it's, it doesn't have a build date yet.
Yeah.
Really?
It's ordered.
That's what the fire department is.
Something like, yeah, we better start planning ahead now if you guys.
Yeah,
And our bucket truck salesman, where we bought our last 2 big trucks from, he was down last week, the 60-foot bucket trucks. He said if we want a bucket truck, it's a 2-year wait, and they won't give you a price. He said whatever the price is in 2 years, that's what you're going to have to pay. I don't know how that works on bidding. The truck we bought in 08, 09, the big bucket trucks, we get to be 14, 15 years old, still in good shape. We paid for like 175 maybe for it. They're like 300 now.
Really?
It'll be 400 by
2-year
next
wait.
year.
Yeah, and
2
next
year
year we
wait.
have to be more than that.
Oh my gosh.
2-year wait, and then whatever the price is in 2 years, that's what you gotta pay.
You better start saving up.
So, I don't know how that works, Phil, with sealed bids.
Yeah, you just have to
I mean,
buy it under a special purchasing.
it's hard to get sealed bids when
Process.
somebody can give you a price.
No, if there's a finding that they're just not available other than contracting in advance, you can
There's
do
a-
it, but the council has to prove it. You have to make these findings and keep a record of it for the audit trail.
I assume that's just like an exemption clause. I mean, there's nothing available, no price available. How can you price it?
Yeah.
Well, you probably got no government discounts no more, is there?
No, I was told that on the pickup trucks even.
Well, if
You won't even get.
If you've been by the lot, they don't have any to sell.
You won't get on government
Used
discounts
ones.
right now.
About 3 of them.
I was gonna say, 2 or 3 of those.
But luckily, we're in good shape, so for vehicles right now. Just keeping maintenance.
We may see a correction. We may see a correction in a year or two.
Might.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Any electric questions?
Nope.
Do we, we do have I know we do, we have an agreement with TSC on our, for fiber on our poles, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
and within the city limits.
okay. They hooked up, they hooked up my daughter's house and it was off of our pole, off of your pole. So I assume there's a,
There was a, I think, contract signed with the Tom back. 4 years ago.
yeah, it was a few years ago.
When they came into town and proposed, we.
High speed Huntingburg, I think, when they
Yeah.
called the
Yeah.
project.
some of, my whole neighborhood's underground, but some of it, I noticed this was overhead.
Is that a renewable contract? I mean, if the poles get more expensive, can we raise the price?
I think it's annual, it's annual contract. Either party can terminate with so many days, months' notice, but it's got a CPI clause in it for increases every
It
year.
increases every year.
Oh, the consumer price index.
Okay.
Yeah, then that's,
Escalator.
Consumer price index, I think.
But we're not getting any money now because they're getting free pole.
That was part of the deal.
we traded them up, we traded for access.
Exactly, we
Yeah,
traded
for
them
access.
access to fiber for Huntingburg if they would come in and put it in. Hunter's Crossing was put in.
So
No, I
the
didn't-
city has, what, I don't know how many access points free, 15 or so access
there's-
points. Plus they provide,
Well, it's not free, we're paying for it.
but at a reduced price though, isn't it?
No. I mean, I don't know, I don't know what the price.
Well, we may have to take a look at that contract.
Yeah. We're paying them on a monthly and then we're also,
But we're,
they're not paying. That's what was negotiated.
it is an attractive thing for our residents, though, I'm not knocking it, and they did a nice job of the install, I just,
Yeah, they do.
they did a professional job, whoever did it. I don't know if they do it or they have a contractor do it, I don't know.
And they're good to work with if we need a transfer to a new pole. They're usually pretty good to work with, unlike some others.
I get that.
Like in the alleyway behind the property.
Yeah, I get it. No, very good.
Good job. Thanks, John.
Anything else?
Guess we need to discuss the OFS.
Oh, yeah.
Meter,
Plant number
meter
9.
correction. For what best?
Can somebody tell us what's going on?
It's on here somewhere.
Well.
I just see it.
There was, and I don't know if you,
I see a letter there.
there was a negative line loss last year, which was being investigated, and John was looking for it, and Buzz was looking for it, and we
Finally,
what David, or Brian Jones from Grebner found that it was the meters from the factory were set wrong
got instead
through
of.
temperature and pressure. And then also, the second one was the multiplier was wrong. Am
Yeah,
I good so far?
You're doing a good job, Tom.
So anyway, those were installed in, at the end of 2020,
2020,
and
December and October.
so,
And it was one of the factories out there, and before, they had a steam line running to it that used it for their heat. Well, the new warehouse we're building, they took that steam line down, so we had to upgrade our meters. So one of the meters was reading in 1,000 cubic feet, 1 unit. The meter was programmed at 1,000 cubic feet where we bill for 100 cubic feet. So that was an undercharge, but then they set it for 60 pounds PSI, which it should have been 5 pounds, which when they set it at 60 pounds, that kind of put a 5 multiplier on it instead of a 1.324 multiplier. So on one parameter of it, it was an undercharge, the other parameter, it was an overcharge. So the usage didn't seem out of range because it wasn't being calculated right. So we come down and got that all corrected. We had the meter tech from Grubner come down. So he went through it, and then the other meter that they're kind of the same time frame. So that one had the right measurement in 100 cubic feet, but it still had a 60 pound of PSI in it, which still had a 5 multiplier on it. So it's, we didn't have no previous records since they did away with their other heat source and they added some machinery. So it was a hard one to catch, but we did finally catch it. So now the governor sent us some software where when we get the meters in, we can plug in and make sure their parameters are the right parameters for our system.
Do we program those when we get them, or do we request they be programmed before they send
So
them?
they're all sent out of there.
Programmed.
programmed. For some reason, he said them two were programmed at a different PSI, a different, and one was set at 1,000 cubic feet instead of 100 cubic feet for 1 unit of gas being used.
So is that like on a label on a box when you see it, and it was wrong, or?
No, it's just internal.
You just don't know? I mean,
It's just,
so we can't hold him liable for anything, the meter?
what's that?
We can't hold the meter manufacturer or whoever liable for
We're
anything?
really not, I mean, nobody's really out any money, or
We overcollected.
We got more money.
We
We
overcollected.
got more money than we
Right,
should have.
and we're gonna pay it back by $169,386.40.
Or are we gonna do that check like that, or are we gonna take it out in installments over?
Well, it's
I'd rather take it out in a check,
Okay.
and so it's all done at once.
yeah, just get it all.
I think did we do this with Far Best a few years
I
back?
got that here, yeah, we did the same thing with Far Best. I mean, there aren't that many meters that can throw us off that much. It has to be a large user. It has to be a Far Best or it has to be an OFS.
Looking at this, it almost looks like it's fat finger, because
Wow.
one's 5,000, the other's 58. It's like they hit 2 buttons or something, and boom, there you go.
But like I say, you did send us the software. Now we can get into that meter parameters and make sure they're there. They're set where they need to be set.
Well, they paid the bill, obviously the money's there.
Well, it's there, and
The meter tech from Governor said, they don't know how it happened. It's just 2 of them meters, because 99.9% they go out.
So how did you find it, or how did you suspect it, or?
The meter tech from Governor, one of our guys went around, checked. He took his laptop, because he had all his software in his,
Yeah,
and he hooked up to every one and checked it. And found where the problem was.
but we buy so much gas and we sell so much gas,
yeah.
Looks like
and those were out of balance.
looks like we sold more than we bought.
Yeah, the idea. No, I'm glad we found that, that's good for them.
So anyway, this gets the line loss
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
It's just back in line,
Sure,
period.
great, great.
So I just
great.
would need an approval to refund OFS their,
Overpayment.
the over collection of $169,386.40.
I'll make a motion for that.
Motion by McFerrin,
I'll second it.
second by Weir, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Fair to say that OFS is already aware of all this? Are they just gonna be really surprised tomorrow?
We're gonna go over.
They're aware? Okay.
No, they're not aware yet, are they?
They're not aware.
No, they're
No, I
gonna be
was supposed to say,
surprised.
they're gonna be, awesome, good for them.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe
Well-
they just don't wanna say anything, I don't know.
Do you have the money?
Who gets the pleasure of calling them with this news?
Yeah.
Any other questions for John?
Anything else?
Do we go over all of our large industrial meters with this guy?
Yeah, we have, like I said, he went over all of them, and we got a guy that, if we have to set anything ourselves, he can get it, we got the software to do that.
David can do that now.
Now we got the software from that company, that we can double check
Yeah.
their meters when they come in. Just to make sure them parameters are right. So it's just another safety feature we had to put in there.
Would you come check my meter?
Yeah, please.
No,
Maybe I don't want you to.
No, Jeff, we're not gonna check
Just leave
yours.
it alone.
Yeah, they're under.
Turn his the other way.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ross?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Aye.
We'll start with distribution. We actually had 5 new services this month. We had 4 at Hunter's Crossing and 1 on the North Bend Beard on 22nd Street. We've got a gentleman, a Mr. Hof out there that's building a house that wanted water service. We are continuing to work on our GIS system. That'll probably be an ongoing thing for the next few years. We're pretty behind on that as far as getting everything that we want in there. We're going as far with this lead and copper revision that we talked about last meeting to putting our service line size in there, the material that it is, actually GISing the service line to the meter pit instead of just the water main itself. We're trying to get more up on times with that. So that'll be an ongoing thing there. Our spring hydrant flushing and valve exercising is complete. With flushing every year, we exercise every valve in the city in the spring. So the guys completed up with that on Saturday.
Uh-uh.
I don't either.
So,
You find any bad ones?
yeah, we do every year. It's,
really?
it's funny. We, we do this once a year, and every year we usually find 5 or 6 that need to have some maintenance, and it's usually due to the operating nut on the valve itself to turn it. So we've got some, we found a cool new design. It's a tool that's used that you can do all that from above ground without digging the pavement up, digging the valve box up, and physically getting down to the valve to work on that. I've got a demo set up, so we're gonna actually see it in action. The city of Evansville uses it. That's kind of where it got brought to my attention, and they don't dig up valves anymore to repair operating nets. As far as price on the tooling, I'm not sure what it is yet until we see it.
You working through a hole about that big? Is it?
Right, yeah, with this tool.
Yeah.
You can do it all from the ground. You don't have to cut pavement, dig up a hole.
Wow.
It turns into a pretty big mess when you have to dig up a valve because
Okay.
the road's always got rock and sand, and you want a hole this big and you end up with a hole this big. So putting it back is pretty costly. So we've kind of put those repairs on hold until we see this equipment work and see if it's going to do what we need it to do, and maybe be able to make a change for the good as we move forward.
Great.
So, we did find one fire hydrant at 3rd Street and Walnut. It was an old Darling hydrant. I can't tell you how long it has been in the ground, but the stem broke on it, so the guys have already replaced that. It's fixed, back to operation. And then we had a water main break on 421 on Maple Street. You guys were able to fix that with a repair clamp. As far as the cause, that's up there around Hickory Drive where we just replaced that water main for bad soil. And that's the only thing we can point towards this. It's gonna be an ongoing thing, I believe, in that area until we get it replaced. Then the only other thing for distribution that I didn't have on there is all the dead ash trees that we had to remove from the boat ramp area around the city lake. We were able to run a stump grinder, and we ground all those stumps down to get everything grass back over and get a few more trees planted back in there to get some trees to grow again. So, if anybody's got anything for distribution, that's all I've got.
I'm gonna ask this, years ago I had brought up that when you do your flushing, you do the private hydrants as well for the industries, we still do
Yes,
that?
any private industry or anybody that has a fire hydrant for that matter, the utility billing office has a form to fill out. We do it for Far Best, Southridge, and OFS. Once you sign the form, the city's responsibility for a fire protection line ends at the valve at the water main in the street. So you sign the form to release any liability to the city as far as to the equipment or anything like that. So if we would flush it and something would break with the hydrant, it would be up to,
Them to fix it.
up to the business owner.
Want to make sure to maintain them, it's important.
It is, it's very important, and that's one of the reasons why we do it, so that's, yeah. So if there's anybody that wants to do that, that's, information's out there, and we'll be more than happy to do it. It helps us with our water quality as well, so. The water filter plant's pretty boring this month, nothing crazy going on out there. We're still treating water and being able to provide for the community. Our metering system, we've put a large dent in our last 250 water meters, so I'm hoping within the next 2 to 3 months we'll have that wrapped up and it'll be ready for John to be in full swing. Other than that, there was some other business that I had. I included a spreadsheet in with this and board pack. Our census metering system that Walter put in.
Just so you know, Jerry, we don't have anything in board pack.
You really don't?
No.
So we were just
Gonna
gonna
have
have
to,
to
that's
do.
why I just
Well, I
asked.
apologize to you. You really don't?
No.
Well, it was submitted. I do have one more copy of this. Just surprisingly that you guys can pass
I was sitting
around.
here looking, I'm thinking, am I not seeing something, or?
That's what I was
You
too.
must have had a computer glitch. And I can give you.
Yeah, those look really nice.
Yeah, look
what-
at that.
I can give you this one as well. I don't need it.
I think you got water in it, in this.
I don't need that. You guys can let that one for you. You can fire me now and we don't talk about this.
No.
Do you do a,
That's fine.
highest day usage? Do you put that in your report every? Most gallons used per day, or what, most water created a day in a certain day of the month, or?
Yes, that's on that.
It's on here?
paper I gave you on that for the, not on that spreadsheet, but on my,
On the regular report?
notes that I have for the regular report, they're on there, high demand day, and, sorry.
Yeah.
Our, high demand day was 1.2 million gallons, and our high production day was 1.25 gallons. So we're right there. With that being said, we can produce a lot more water than that. We don't run our water plant at 100% capacity. We
No,
usually try.
our new capacity should be double that?
Yes, okay, yeah.
So you using one
that's-
side of the plant is what you're doing?
No, we run all 4 filters.
Okay.
And
run
it
all
fluctuates from day to day, just depending on, if people are home more, days that people are out. Summertime, it'll definitely go up. But we usually, right now, our water facility on all 8 filters, we're running anywhere from 55 to 65% as far as what they're capable of doing.
So when you clean the filters out, you spread that time out more than what you used to in the past? I mean, you do it
We
a lot less,
wash 1 filter at a time.
Yeah.
So just as needed, and they all come separately. We'll backwash and take care of our filters, and there's never any less than 7 filters at a time running unless we've got other issues with
Sure.
equipment or something like that. All right. So, well, sorry you guys didn't receive any of this.
That's okay.
But our census metering system, back when that was installed, me and Tom's talked about this, and I spoke with John Rudepeller and Brad Coomer with wastewater as well. When that system was installed, water paid for the whole system. There wasn't any, the way I was explained, there wasn't really any future for gas or electric to go that route. They were still using the Itron system. Since then, gas and electric are switching to census. So we spoke and thought it was only fair that everybody shared that cost for the metering system. With John, he's got gas and electric, it's kind of black and white. He's just now getting into the system, so the dollar amounts on there for him are him to buy into what's already there, and it's prorated. He's not getting charged from anything from the day it was put in until now. With wastewater has been paying 25 cents a meter a month as a maintenance fee to cover their portion of this. What me and Tom spoke about and we would like to do is take that 25 cent a meter fee away and just have them buy into the system as well, like John is. So that has on there the broken down fees for what's everybody's gonna end up paying for that. I just wanted to get your graces on that to make sure you guys were all on the same page, and if you had any questions about how any of it works.
And you're talking about the startup fee here.
Right, yes, this is for all the, for the handhelds, the radios,
I'm following you.
antennas, everything.
But wastewater won't have any maintenance
They-
costs associated, if they pay you this fee,
Correct.
this portion, they're not gonna have
Right.
any maintenance costs in the future?
Well, we'll all share that cost. Anytime anything's wrong with the system, we'll all share it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so they're gonna get a fourth of the bill.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay,
It ends up being about a wash, because the other was 25 cents a meter for 20 years. So I think they're paying maybe $700 more over 20 years.
Right.
I'm fine with it, I just got to that conclusion too quick, I guess, because I was wanting to know,
No, you're fine.
You're basically letting them off, sound like you're letting them off the hook forever, but you're not.
No, that's,
Except John, John wants to get off the hook.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was set up like that with the 25 cents a meter per month deal. It's,
There's no way to meter his side, I guess.
well, you're correct, but it almost, with me and Brad, with this, as of right now, I control the whole system. And whenever his interest is in it and John's interested in it, it shouldn't be like that. We should
No.
all, and with that, it'll put them all at the same with all the passwords and usernames, whenever they all get in it, we'll all be equals in that point, I guess I should say.
And so we'll get annual maintenance fees that you guys
Right.
will split
Right.
four ways.
Yes, yeah. I'll resend.
That does make sense.
I'll have that board pack stuff sent back.
Just send it back,
so you
yeah,
can
but
see it.
it makes perfect sense.
Right. So it's, me and Tom spoke about it, we just figured we'd let you guys know about it.
This
so
will
we
get
could
paid
grace
to
us on
water
it.
from
You know,
wastewater.
At the onset of this, though, none of that was determined.
Correct.
We didn't know it was gonna work, we didn't know if everybody's
Right.
gonna go with this brand, we didn't, none of that was determined, but we've had terrific luck with it from
Yes,
what I,
I just looked at today, as far as water goes, we had one stale. So,
you know,
that's, I mean,
in the energy department's stuff ought to be,
and theirs will be a lot better.
there's
all
gonna be
ground.
above the ground.
So they say. I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't work for Census, but they, that's what, ours is, ours are in the ground. Most of the meter pits are full of water. They've got a vehicle parked over them.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody park on top of a gas meter. Well, you probably have.
Knock them down.
Well, not on purpose.
Not long.
I've seen it done.
Nope, and like I said, I'll get with Tennille and we'll get that information forwarded back to you.
Okay.
That way you guys have it all and you can look at it again. Yeah, it's not something that's gonna happen today, so.
I thought since I wasn't supposed to be here tonight, it just wasn't on my computer.
Yes,
so I don't-
That went on in.
Wasn't mine either.
That's all right.
I'm just trying to pull it
It
fast.
happens. Yeah.
It's all right.
Plus that, Duddy has.
So you need a motion for this, Phil? Is that what we
Yeah,
got?
if you feel comfortable enough, but we're nowhere near ready for that because,
Well, we're, as far as we are, you're putting meters in and your system's about ready to go. I think what we were looking for was just,
Just the
Blessing?
approval to
Yeah, I
charge these amounts.
charge
yeah,
them
you probably
separate.
ought to then if they're getting ready to do it.
All right, then we'll entertain a motion for that.
Cost splitting arrangement.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ware,
I'll second the motion.
second by McFerrin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, thank you.
Phil, you got anything?
I have nothing.
Tom, you want to go over the ordinance, or you want me to? or-
Sure. Well, it's just we've received some money for, well, maybe you could describe
Okay.
the gift shop.
Well, Mike Eber and the Bombers are wanting to expand the gift shop, obviously, for down at the park, for making money, I guess, for us, whatever. And there have been some grants that have been applied for and we received, but in order for us to pay those grants, we need to have it put in a certain fund so it doesn't get separated in something else. So what this fund is basically set up is there's a gift shop fund to set up people that want to donate to the remodeling of the gift shop, things of that kind. So we just need an ordinance to establish the fund so we can do that. So that's what the ordinance basically says in a nutshell. So,
We set up a separate fund anytime there are donations
Right.
from outside sources that are for
did this-
specific purposes.
We just did it very similar
did one.
last year.
Yeah, we just did one for the sound system, you did one for something
Yeah.
else, the Phyllis Mickey's Town Hall Fund.
Yeah.
We did the
Very-
soccer field.
So it's
Where's the
all,
money go for tours and stuff like that, the donations for tours? Would
that
go
was
with
just
this too?
a league development fund, isn't it? And that-
What's that?
Where's the tours go?
The
Money
tour
for
fund.
tours. Was there a tour fund set up? I don't remember.
Yes, there is a.
For this league stadium tours or
No,
something.
we already had that though, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I think I remember.
Another similar one.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
was it was it one for the heating system or something for the old town?
Old Town
Yeah,
Hall, one
Old
time,
Town.
yeah.
I think this is just maintenance work.
Well, the one for the tours was set up, not for donations, but for.
It was for
fees.
payments, for fees and
fees,
revenues
for
for the
tour.
tours, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So basically, this is just for donations that come in to help with offsetting the cost of remodeling the gift shop, or actually, from what I gathered from Mike, that their Bombers were willing to put some more money into that themselves, so that's why we set up the fund.
We gotta have a place to put it.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Good idea.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept the ordinance, ordinance number.
You got a number?
Number?
Yeah.
2022.
Got 20.
23, more? We're taking guesses.
2022-17.
Oh, man, well, you're way ahead, Steve.
I thought it was 22
We
already,
got a few
22,
more to stick
22.
in there yet.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion to accept ordinance 20, I need a motion to accept ordinance
Or actually
2022.
introduce
Introduce it
it.
first, that's right.
Yeah.
Introduce the ordinance 2022-17.
Motion to introduce.
Motion introduced by McFerrin,
I'll second it.
second by Bounds, all in favor?
Aye.
Now I need another motion.
Motion to suspend the rules and
Motion to suspend by Kissling,
I'll second.
second by Ware, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now the next motion.
motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt by Kissling,
I'll second the motion.
second by McFerrin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be it.
Need a roll call?
No, Dubon.
Aye.
Kissling.
Aye.
Bound.
Aye.
Ware.
Aye.
McFerrin.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays.
You have your fund.
You have your phone.
Complete stadium is your fun. Tom, anything else?
No.
Any other council items we brought up?
Yes, I'd like to bring one up.
Okay,
In regards to the last meeting, we had some citizens concerned about the property on 405 North Main Street. After their presentation they gave, Councilman Bounds and I took it upon ourselves to go down 4th Street and talk to some store owners and anybody walking through there at the time we were there. We talked about half of them and got some good replies back on what their suggestions are for that property. So as of now, Jeff and I talked about the future for this at the moment and for the council. And if you want to go ahead and explain what you're.
Sure. Yeah, so the reaction was mixed, honestly. There was people for just tearing it down tomorrow, and there was some that wanted it to be saved, and some with suggestions and ideas about what they thought could be done with it. And so what we'd like to propose is that we, Phil, I'm not sure the terminology, but that we pause the order that we had made previously to tear it down, have a public meeting. I didn't look up the date, but on the the 4th Tuesday meeting that we're going to have in May, to have a section on the agenda to encourage public suggestion as to what ideas people might have that would include saving the building. If it's from people who might be interested in the property or whatever suggestions that anybody might have, people that might have an interest to step up and explain what interest they have. And then from that point, I'm proposing a 90-day period that we would have the ability to consider those options. If someone needed to find financing or for whatever reason, they would have a period of time to be able to get their act together and be able to present us a viable working plan that the council could then come back and consider. If there's no interest, in other words, the possibility exists that the building is beyond repair, there might be no interest in it from anyone to do anything with it, maybe there's no grant money available. I don't think the city wants to be in the business of owning the property and finding solutions or renting it out, but I think we just want to put a pause on it, make it available for people to come up with their own plans and ideas, and if there's nothing that either is proposed or nothing that we agree to, we can proceed with going ahead and tearing the building down and moving forward with the plans to make it a parking lot.
So,
But I think
just to be clear, I mean, we're talking about, the city keeps the back lot. And if somebody wants to step up and say they would like to have the building, we would consider on what they would do with it.
Exactly.
How much money they want to put in it, and then we can go back and forth and say, is that a good idea or not for the city or, or for.
Yeah,
for
I think, Brad, I think any proposal is going to include, we need to take enough property out of there to widen the alley, and anything behind the building would be retained by the city to add to the plan to expand the parking for 4th Street in that space. And if there's a way to do all that and save the building, we're looking for ideas. We're looking for people to step up and say, yeah, we would like to do this, a specific plan that we would then be able to propose or come back to and consider. And again, if there is no option, we can proceed with what our original plan was. So I guess the bottom line is 1 month from now, at that second meeting of March or May in the 4th week, that we have the ability between now and then to kind of encourage people to come forth and talk about what real solutions they might suggest. And then once we've gathered those ideas, we'll have 90 days to either give them a chance to work out the details, for us to consider those proposals and decide, again, what to do next.
So in the meantime, I still propose if we want to start working on that lot for somehow in the backyard, we can continue to do that without, just leave the house alone for a minute until we figure out exactly what.
I don't think you can do anything until you decide what you're gonna do.
Yeah, so, you know, there's
You're
plenty.
basically putting everything on hold, so.
So who's doing this? Who are they coming forth to?
To the council.
To
Yeah.
me, Ben? Or are you waiting to?
He's
To wait
asking to
for
come
our
to a
meeting.
public- He's asking to come to a public meeting, so he's asking.
Yeah.
So we're not asking for people to come on a day-to-day basis and give us their suggestions. We're asking them all to come
Yeah.
to a.
To come to a
public
meeting to
To
go to
meeting
a
to do that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Exactly. There's people saying, hey, we can find money for that building. This will give them time to see if that really can happen.
So you, what I'm understanding you're proposing is that the project be suspended temporarily, and that a public meeting be had to have it take input onto potential development of that lot, whether it be a parking lot or other development for saving the building. And then there'll be a period of time afterward for people to actually, who have an interest, to make a proposal to the
Thank
city.
you. I should have just let you say
No,
that right at the
just- it's
beginning.
new to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Adding my take on it, I'm not strongly pulled in either direction here, but the one thing I do want to comment on is, I don't have, to my knowledge, the city doesn't have a defined plan of what we're going to do too. We have a general idea that what we want to do, and I do think that new information has come to light. There is some historic significance maybe to the building, that it's a period building in the 1860s or something that we didn't know about. And if that's significant to somebody, that they want to privately develop that into something that would benefit the city, and we wouldn't actually lose that Main Street facing front, maybe that would be a good thing, but I don't know. I don't think we've had enough time to have anybody create some input. And frankly, at the end of whatever, the 120 days or something that we're proposing here, if there is no input, there is no money, there is no interest, then by that time, I would like to have I think the city should have put together a proposal of what there should be a committee or something involved. What is our plan going forward? You know, we should know that, other than, you know, what is that gonna look like? Do we have renderings or anything like that? I don't know how you can even, because to my knowledge, we don't have anything. I think the alley would definitely need to be widened for access.
Right.
I think there's a potential to use the rear parking lot and maybe even come up with an agreement with the adjacent landowner for their lot to provide some parking there. I don't know how that.
There's a lot of
I
opportunities.
don't know what the legal ramifications and how that works, and if somebody would buy the building, if we section it off, and we would get some kind of a parking agreement with that new landowner. But in light of the new information and the new interest in it, I think that we should give it a fighting chance to do something or not do anything. And then at the end of this period, we can honestly say that, you know, the opportunity's been presented. We've tried to gauge the public's interest in here, or private investor interest, and if there is some, that's great. We can allow that to go through. If there is none, then we'll put together a city proposal and we'll do what we're gonna do.
Well, the original plan, obviously, there was no per se set plan to do anything. I mean, the
Right.
plan was we would buy the house
To
and to add additional parking. That was the only thing we knew about.
You're right.
We didn't know anything about what type of parking, how we were gonna do it, was it gonna be green space, some parking, we didn't know any of that stuff.
We still don't.
We still don't know that. The
Right.
only thing, I think the whole concept was that we bought the property with the idea that we had control
Exactly.
over what we could do or what could be done there, so that somebody didn't come in and basically leave it as it was or leave it to keep deteriorating.
And I think we still do.
And basically, that's still what we want to do.
Right,
We
we
still
still
want
wanna
to
do.
make the control situation take place. So, I mean, you know, it's up to the council, obviously, just.
Do we need to do anything, Phil, to?
Well, yeah, I'm not
just
sure.
suspend, yeah.
Yeah, I think you just a motion to suspend the project pending.
time being, pending.
Pending the public input on the development, potential development of that property, and then set it for.
It may not, with all the other projects going, we have the project across the
Yeah.
street and.
Well, it would be a while before that anything's done anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. I
We've got
don't
so
know
many
that that's
projects
gonna,
going on right now that
we can't get it all done anyway.
Exactly.
We just don't have the manpower and,
our finances
Or to do it
a
all,
lot.
so.
So,
I don't know if anything will change, but I do think we should at least
It gives them a chance.
provide the opportunity for that to happen and whatever happens,
well, I think
happens.
it does, I mean, and I think I've told you too, I've been contacted by many, many people. I mean, not all just store owners, but other
Right.
people, even people not in the city.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's a situation where obviously there may be some suggestions out there that we haven't looked at or things of this kind for that part of it. I just don't think that we want to just spend money out of the city to do anything with that piece of
No.
property.
Right.
I agree.
I don't think
agree with
anybody
that.
I
on
think,
this,
I think the key word there that Steve mentioned is we just want to retain enough property to widen the alley.
Right, right.
So if anybody has proposals, they're gonna have to give up about 8 to 10 feet of property.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think ultimately we would.
they would want that too, it's for access. I don't.
Well, I would think so, because the way the alley is set up, the way we've
Most
got it
people
set
can't
up for
drive it.
doing that, to block off, so we want that
Right.
entrance and exit, or whichever way we decide to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to decide ultimately what restrictions for use we would allow, or what usage we would allow, and what restrictions we would wanna place on that property if we were
Whether
to
that's
sell it to someone.
driving or walking only or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how
Well, I
much-
think that's gonna come from the proposals we get,
Right,
from
right.
people who have information, then we can decide whether that's something that we want to deal with or not.
Yeah.
At that point, so.
And what, to remind me, and maybe for the media, what would be the procedure, Phil, for someone to get on the agenda? Do we just leave a section open for whatever discussion might happen, or does someone, do we
Well,
we
yeah, our
prioritize?
policy is that you have to contact the city office in advance to be put on the agenda. But you can, as a council, suspend that policy and just invite anybody that has, that is interested in a topic to come forward and speak. I would strongly recommend that you set a 3-minute time limit for each speaker, and to try to avoid repetition and people that just want to,
Right.
just want to grandstand, you always
Right.
have that. But to, to set some rules for decorum. But yeah, you don't, once you announce it's a public meeting, you're going to take input on potential development of this property, then people don't have to call in advance to be put on the agenda. You can just recognize them as they speak. And you may want to devote X number of minutes, maybe no more, we're going to devote no more than 30 minutes, 45 minutes to this, and every speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. When the 45 minutes is up, that's the end of the discussion, and we're going to move on to other items.
And I hope, what I'm hoping for is specific people with specific ideas that they might be interested in using that property for, not, hey, we think you should save the property. We already know that there's people want to do that, and that's what this whole process is for. It's not, hopefully, for the public's consumption, it's not, I'm not intending it to be a place for somebody to just come make a statement. We're looking for ideas, we're looking for suggestions, people with money and an idea on how they might purchase that property and improve it to a point that we would be satisfied with, as opposed to tearing it down.
From the outset, the public needs to know that it's not the council's intention to redevelop that property and to
Exactly.
redevelop that building. That we're not in the business to be landlords and a tenant relationship. And that we're also concerned about vacant buildings becoming dilapidated and a real blight in the community. We've got enough vacant buildings now, we don't need more.
So can we put a
But if somebody has a positive plan to develop that and you're receptive to it,
So can we put a stipulation on it, like a time frame? It's got to be to a certain point within 3 years, 2 years, or how much
Yeah,
money
you
you
can,
invested in
you
it.
can do that, but
if they
what's the
don't-
remedy if they don't?
Well, that's the
You
question.
Buy
I
it
mean,
back?
can we, if they put $20,000 into it, we'll give them back exactly what they gave us for it, then we'll just take the building. I don't know, I'm just
No,
kind
you-
of.
Why would we give it back?
Yeah.
If they don't do it in time, why?
Well, you just take the whole thing from
They
them.
lost
and
their money.
Exactly.
There should be some, I mean, that can all be,
But that's all something after we hear
Yes.
proposals.
first you gotta have somebody that's got that
Cart before the horse here, so I mean, it's kind of like. it's-
entrepreneurial spirit here that wants to take this on.
Sure, sure.
I think Ware Enterprises can do it.
Yeah, I was thinking about Farrell's Corporation.
So you need a motion to suspend action?
Yes,
Temporarily
temporarily
suspend.
suspend the development of the parking lot and to set a public hearing to receive, not a public hearing, but a public meeting to receive input to potential development of the property for May 24th at your regular meeting.
With the time limits we refrained.
Yeah, I think
Well, we can do that, we
the
can
mayor
do
can
that at the
establish that
time,
as
at
part
the
of
meeting
it.
starts,
Establish.
we establish, just like we did last time when telling their name or where they're from
Right.
and all that type of thing, we can establish that right away, so.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion for what Phil said.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second
To
that.
suspend.
What Phil said.
Do we have to,
Don't ask me to repeat it.
do we have to, do you need a separate notice for the meeting? For,
Well, it's not really a public hearing if we're going to have an actual
If
public
it's-
hearing. but-
If it's at the meeting, that we really.
it's not a
just have-
public hearing,
No,
it's
a
a,
public
it's
hearing.
a,
You want to get the word out, and
So,
if you
what can
know
we do?
people that are interested in wanting to speak to this, make sure they know about it. We'll have the news media, hopefully will
we want to advertise that we're looking for input
input,
for, possibilities for the property.
development of that.
With a
that
plan.
property.
Yeah,
With possible owners, so if they want to.
right,
With a plan.
So we have a motion and a second for whatever that was.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We need a roll call for that?
Wow.
You can play it back on that recorder, Tom.
He's gonna need to.
A few times.
Is there any other council items?
None more.
I just, once again, remember that it's Prayer Day, National Day of Prayer is May the 5th. Everybody's invited to, I know the National Day of Prayer is being held at 3 different places this year. One's gonna be at Shiloh for the breakfast. We're having something here at Old Town Hall at noon. And then again, there's a worship and prayer service at Jasper, a different church on that evening. So if you're available to come, great. One last thing, we are meeting with NDOT and Mark Mesmer on Friday about the 14th Street light.
Yes.
So that is something that's, we've got scheduled here for the council chambers, if anybody wants to come.
Don't, I'm not gonna be.
When is that?
It's Friday, I forgot the time, I'll let you know. I forgot
This
what time.
coming Friday?
It's coming Friday, it's the 20th, it's the 29th.
We can definitely,
29th.
we could definitely simplify that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of ways. Anyway, they're here to talk about it and see what we can do to.
What time will that start?
I have to look it up.
Oh, I thought you said noon.
No, I forgot.
Okay.
It's on the
The
calendar.
mayor will let us know when the meeting,
Mayor will let you guys know.
Let's make that a public meeting and see what happens.
Exactly.
We don't have enough time
I
in
was
the
gonna
day.
say,
I don't think we need, I think we know what the public opinion is.
Yes, we do.
Well, I think I pretty well know that. So anyway, with that, that's all I have, so I'll entertain a motion.
Citizens? No citizens?
Nope, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well, I forgot, Dan's always
Dan,
here, he
Dan.
never says anything, so. You got anything, Dan?
No.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Ware.
I'll second it.
Second by McFerrin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
We are adjourned.